Thor, Ragnarok, Barry, how are we doing?
I'm jazzed. I'm jazzed. We made it. Where we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, except not really, because once we get caught up, the films just keep on coming. But we're all caught up, and feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, as I said, as of recording this right now, we're caught up. That's all that matters.
That's right, and we can tell ourselves that this audio will be, stored in the annals of history forever, and it will be remembered that at this time we had seen and discussed every released Marvel film.
And we didn't give up.
No.
So Thor, I'm going to start with my hottest take about this film. Thor Ragnarok is the fourth best film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Ooh, in doing this series with you, I never really sat down and said, okay, I've now rewatched all of these. What are the rankings? So I actually don't know. I tell you what, let me see. Can I name 3 films better than Thor Ragnarok? I would say Homecoming.
Ooh.
I would say Guardians 1.
Ooh.
I would say Winter Soldier.
That would be one of my other 3.
Do I have a 4th film? I don't know if most people would agree with me. I would probably say Civil War.
Yep. My 3 on top of this are The Avengers, Civil War, and Winter Soldier. And realistically, I think Ragnarok can go toe-to-toe with Civil War. I think that those are interchangeable.
Yeah, I think... So, I mean, to just jump straight into broad thoughts about the film, I think I was kind of the low man on this. I thought it was a really great film. When I first saw it in theaters, I didn't quite think it was amazing. And on rewatching it for this, I was kind of steadfast in that. I was like, this is a really, really, really great film. I don't know if it's in that upper echelon. But it certainly has a bunch of character to it, and it doesn't feel like it is in the mold. Certainly not. But yeah, you know what? I could probably name some films I'd put ahead of it, but I don't know that I would massively disagree with it being up there certainly in that top like 6 or 7 thereabouts. I think it's certainly in there. It's a fantastically well made film.
It's certainly in the top half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
I watch this film and I wonder. You hear about like creative disputes with Marvel. We've had Edgar Wright, we've had a couple other big like notable creative disputes, and then you watch a film like this, which is so unabashedly weird and unique, and you can't think it's anything but Taika Waititi's direct like vision for what this film is supposed to be.
And he's another example of, we've talked about kind of through this series of Marvel kind of going out on a limb with a director choice. I mean, the only thing of his that I've seen other than this is Boy, which is fantastic, but it's so not a movie you would watch and go, this guy could make $100 million superhero film. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
And especially the film that he made is so weird. This film is so like it's gleefully strange. It's entirely what it wants to be. It's like from the color palette to the soundtrack to the offbeat humor. It's so like, as I said, I wonder, where do like Marvel draw the line? Where do they like, oh, Edgar Wright, we can't let you do that, but we can let you do this with Thor.
Yeah. I don't know if it was maybe it was kind of exhaustion or desperation with the Thor license. Maybe they were just like, oh, we can't really afford for another one of these to like 2 was pretty damn weak. Maybe it was that, or maybe the right executive in the right office just really liked the director's previous work and pulled enough strings to just let him do his thing. I don't know, but as you say, it's very, very weird. But certainly a very odd film. I like that. It kind of does that thing that I like about like Futurama and like Rick and Morty, which is just, it has fun just making up all these just weird races and aliens and things that it feels like the creators and the writers just got creative overload and just got to write down a bunch of dumb ideas and actually made them happen for their alien races and their the tech in the world and stuff like that. It was really, really cool.
Like, as I said, this film is set on the strange planet of, the name escapes me. I should really look up these things.
Yeah, Sakaar, that was it, yeah.
Which is basically the land of lost toys across space and time. Anything that gets lost in space lands up on Sakaar. And yeah, they just crafted this strange, wacky world led by Jeff Goldblum. That's just so weird. It's so weird, and Jeff Goldblum is the best.
Yeah, and he's just being Jeff Goldblum with like, it's not, the volume's not even turned up to 11. It's about he's just Jeff Goldblum. It's just at the level it's always at. He's fantastic, and yeah, I love that premise. Again, it allowed for that creative freedom for them to put all that weird stuff in there. It is just here's all the stuff that gets discarded in space in one place. It was a very cool idea.
Like, Jeff Goldblum has a line in this film where he says, "You're officially pardoned," with a long pause, "from life." It's the dumbest line you will ever hear in your life, but it's so good delivered by Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, he's really tremendous. I think this might be, maybe I'll eat my words on this immediately. Maybe possibly tied with like Spider-Man: Homecoming and maybe Guardians 2. Maybe the best supporting cast of an MCU film, because you've got Goldblum, you've got Cate Blanchett, of course,
chewing all of the scenery. If there is scenery to be chewed, she's chewing it.
I mean, talk about Goldblum. She's right there with Goldblum, just having the time of her life in that role. I mean, that's just. I'm in a dumb movie, comic book movie, alien movie thing, and I'm a goddess, and I'm just gonna 90s comic book villain it up for this role.
Wearing her weird antler helmet.
It was a cool look. That was a cool look for Hela. Yeah, she was really tremendous. And obviously you got, your returning Idris Elba and stuff like that, and Mark Ruffalo and Anthony Hopkins. Actually, speaking of Hopkins, when I first watched this movie in the theater, I completely forgot where the world was, what the premise was, what the ending of the last film was. Everything escaped me. And then when I sat down to watch it again this time, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I forgot this was going on. The stuff with Hopkins and Loki and all that other stuff, because it's kind of not relevant. I mean, obviously the death of Odin is relevant, but it's basically just establishing what's going on in the kingdom, and then Thor is out of there, lands on this weird planet, and the plot gets in motion. Yeah, I completely forgot about all that stuff.
In fairness, the scene, it's a nice scene where like Odin is sitting with Loki and Thor in that giant field, passing some advice and then dying. But Anthony Hopkins is I think he's on a different continent to Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth in that scene.
Yeah, it's a more reserved scene. I like that it was not a he gets stabbed and dies in their arms while they scream no. It was not any of that. It was a nice different approach. I appreciated it. I appreciated it for sure, but not necessarily a character I can say I'm going to miss or anything.
You're going to be very disappointed that Anthony Hopkins won't be part of the MCU anymore.
Yeah, I'll soldier on. Maybe he can get recast as Uncle Ben in the next Spider-Man movie.
Hey, I'd be on board with that.
That'd be all right. Actually, in an alternate universe, I could see Anthony Hopkins being Uncle Ben. That'd be pretty all right.
He's delivering that great power, great responsibility line. You can hear that. He probably says it almost in one of these films.
Yeah, I'm sure he's probably said something along those lines.
I do actually. Anthony Hopkins' little scene where he's basically playing Loki, great fun.
Yes, that was great. Yeah, that was. And again, it's having a bit of fun with the established roles and getting a little bit weird with it. I appreciated it. So yeah, that was very nice.
You a Game of Thrones guy?
Yes, yeah.
You remember that scene in the most recent season where there's the play of all the characters and the plot of Game of Thrones?
Oh yes, yeah. That's
Remind
great.
Me of that.
Yeah. God, that scene is great. Yeah. I only got caught up on Game of Thrones this year, in preparation. I got caught up just as the last season was ending, and it feels like a blur because I watched so much of it back to back. But that was seeing it all culminate in this kind of farcical play was cool. It does remind me of that actually. Yeah, this scene in Ragnarok. That's actually a good comparison.
And the comedy in this film in general, it's real good. I mean, we mentioned the first Thor film is kind of a comedy. The second one, a little less. But this, I feel like this is the fourth time I've said this. But as comedies go in the MCU, this is as much a comedy as you get.
Yeah, it's definitely it's kind of lighter on the action. Obviously, you have your big action set piece like the fight with Hulk and stuff like that. But it definitely feels like it is kind of a fantasy comedy type set up more so than your like Avengers balance of like 50-50, you know what I mean? It feels like it skews more towards comedy, certainly. And yeah, it all lands. It's very, very funny. No real bombs. I don't recall anything where it's like, oh, that didn't land. It's like, no, it's all funny. There's some belly laughs in there, and when you're not belly laughing, there's plenty of just chuckles and little things that'll make you smirk. And I think the cast helps that as well as the writing. I mean, this is the most fun I think anyone's ever had with Hulk on screen, certainly.
People were like, oh, that's very out of character for Mark Ruffalo, his Bruce Banner character. He's like, that guy was trapped as Hulk for years and then woke up on an alien planet. I think you can take some liberties there.
Yeah, especially, I mean, the longer these movies go and the more into the reads you get with the stories, I mean, you have to, like you say, you have to, roll with it. Given the context of what is happening in this in this scenario. One thing I'm curious about, I'm surprised I didn't see more kind of nerd outcry for this, was that they could have maybe done a bit more with, as a lot of people mentioned, this is obviously kind of rolling in several ideas from the Planet Hulk comic book, that sort of famed arc that people wanted to see in films. Obviously Thor lands on this weird planet, turns out Hulk already washed up there and became like a gladiatorial champion. I thought there was probably more there they could have done with it. It's like he shows up, they have the fight, Hulk is reluctant to leave, but eventually, of course, they do leave. You know what I mean? There's certainly more potential there, but I thought what they did was pretty damn good. And plus, you don't want to focus too much on Hulk as well, because as we've discussed, he does work better as part of the team.
At the end of the day, this is still a Thor film.
Absolutely, yeah, and I don't know that if they had gone fully fledged standalone film with Planet Hulk that it would have had the legs.
We have to give a shout out to Korg as well. Korg is the best.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Probably the funniest character in the film, I thought. And I tell you, the director pulling double duty. That's a great performance. Just funny and just kind of instantly likable. Just a very soft, charming voice on Korg.
Again, there's a line in this film where Loki appears as a ghost and then disappears, and Korg runs up and kicks the wall and shouts, "Piss off, ghost!" It's my favorite thing.
Great.
I love it so much.
I hope Korg is a thing going forward. But I'll tell you what. One weird thing about this movie, one disappointment I had was I remember when the first trailer hit. It was the world stopped on its axis when that trailer came out, and people were like, "Oh my God, what is this?" It had that great music and all those great visuals. Were you like me and you were really disappointed when you saw that like 70% of the cool imagery in the trailer was contained in one 30-second flashback?
And I really because obviously I watched the trailer, and the trailer does the Hulk reveal, which you kind of understand why. But if you go into this film without knowing, and I don't know how that is because I didn't do it myself, but I'd imagine if you went into this film knowing nothing about it and the reveal of Hulk just being there across the I'd imagine that would be so much better if you didn't see that in the trailer.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's one of those ones, we talked about trailer reveals in the Spider-Man episode. This one, I totally agree, and my initial reaction was the same. But it's a tough one. I kind of feel like it is actually a selling point. But yeah, man, can you imagine? Can you imagine not knowing that's what happens? That's quite the thing. And it's funny because it's like even if you try and avoid those trailers when they go live on YouTube or whatever, they still play before every damn film. Yep.
Close your eyes, block your ears, run out of the room for 2 minutes.
I mean, I watched the Infinity War trailer when it came out because it was Infinity War. It's like, okay, well, obviously I have to watch this. But if I did try and avoid it, I think I've seen it 3 times in theaters now. So
you'll see it again before Black Panther.
Yeah, and Ragnarok as well. Oh my God, I feel like I saw. I mean, obviously they knew the reaction to the trailer was so positive because I feel like I saw that thing so many times before other films, even films that I don't necessarily think would have had summer blockbuster superhero movie trailers on them. But it was certainly effective. Great use of music in the film and in the trailers as well. A little bit of Hotline Miami soundtrack on there, which I really appreciated. One of my favorite video game soundtracks ever. Yes, supremely well marketed film. And plus, they got Goldblum, little snippets of Goldblum in the trailer as well, doing his thing. It was great.
And you mentioned the music, of course. There's Immigrant Song by Led Zeppelin, which is kind of the centerpiece of the film.
Yes, yeah, and it fits really well. Again, we've criticized some of the music in the MCU. Nice for it to have a standout song that you can point to and recognize and recite that's associated with this film.
And it seems like a song that was literally written for Thor.
Yeah.
And it is very, very well deployed at both times. Very rarely do I like third acts in this film. I think more or less the third act in this film really does work.
Yeah, no, it does. It definitely sticks to landing. We haven't really talked about kind of the Valkyrie characters.
You were talking.
And,
you were mentioning the 30 seconds of imagery.
Oh yes, yeah. So the really cool sequence in the trailer, which is actually just all contained within one flashback. Which on the one hand I was disappointed about, but on the other hand, when I was rewatching it for this, I was like, a full movie looking like this—that's a Zack Snyder movie. You know what I mean? I don't know that I want to see that, but it's certainly cool while it lasts. But they were really interesting. What's the main Valkyrie character's name? Escapes me again because I'm awful with names.
Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson played her.
Oh, she's just called Valkyrie. My bad.
But she did have a name in this. She wasn't just called Valkyrie, wasn't she?
IMDb just lists her as Valkyrie. I think that's wrong. I don't know that she's just called Valkyrie, but Tessa Thompson's character anyway. Really enjoyed her. A good badass hero. Obviously begrudging, not just I'm a member of the team right away. The begrudging hero, which is always nice. So yeah, that whole and the way they all came together at the end was very, very cool. Yeah, one of the better final acts, especially compared to Guardians 2, which we talked about 2 episodes ago, I believe it was. This is a pretty strong one.
And like every little character had a little arc. Like the Valkyrie character was a drunken person running from her past who had to embrace her past and take on the mantle of her legacy. Like Thor's is fairly straightforward, hero taken down a peg, redeems himself. That's nothing special, but at least everyone has their little character arc.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to see Thor do some thunder stuff. Which, have we seen that before? I don't know. I feel like I don't know that we've seen that much before.
I think it's always been tied to the hammer.
Yes, yeah.
As opposed to him just being straight up God of Thunder. Or Sparkle Hands if you prefer.
Yeah. Got Chris Hemsworth with his short hair.
He's looking well.
Short hair and the lightning eyes is good luck.
It is. In fact, you could do anything to Chris Hemsworth and he'd probably be looking well. God damn it.
That's true, yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what they could do. They could shave him bald. He'd probably make that work. Speaking of looks, we got our most Ruffaloed up Hulk ever. In this film, they got some Ruffalo face tech on that Hulk. I thought it was incredibly jarring in the trailer. In the actual film, I thought it was fine. When I watched that trailer, I was like, "Oh my God, I am not going to be able to watch this movie." Look at his face just on this big weird alien thing. How weird is this? But it actually came off supernatural and natural within the context of a superhero film. In the final thing, but Disney, they're always pushing that. They're always pushing that envelope with the tech.
Wait a minute. The Loki actor in the little play?
Yeah.
That was Matt Damon.
What?
That was Matt Damon.
Oh my God.
What?
How did I watch this movie twice and not realize that?
Yeah. How did I never even hear of it? That's the kind of thing you look at Matt Damon's great cameo,
Yeah, and I've never heard about that until now. Jeez.
Unless the Wikipedia page is lying to me, he's like an uncredited Matt Damon plays the Loki actor. What?
Is it another Matt Damon?
No, the link goes to the right Matt Damon.
Wow.
And a nice touch, actually, Luke Hemsworth played Thor in that scene as well.
Oh, that's nice. So,
brother of Chris. It's a nice little thing. It's a nice little thing in there. What do you think of the Doctor Strange cameo in this film?
I liked it. Yeah, it was alright. Didn't make much of it. But it was okay. Didn't they have was Thor in the post-credit scene of Doctor Strange? That was that one, wasn't it?
Yes.
Drinking the beer.
This straight scene was in the post-credits film, post-credit scene of that film, wasn't it?
I think so. My memory's failing me now, but I guess they're gonna. Something about those two, they're linking together. Yeah. Yeah, so was there a Stan Lee cameo in this? I can't remember. I missed it the second.
He was the one that cut Thor's hair.
Oh, yes! Yeah, okay, of course.
Apparently Stan Lee was admitted to hospital yesterday as well, so...
Yeah. What is he now? He's 90...
He's 96, I think.
Jesus Christ, okay.
He is getting up there.
Yeah, he's getting up there.
He could literally die at any moment.
Yeah. So that's quite a run. Yeah, I completely forgot that he was doing that. So yeah, this is a pretty swell movie, and the fight scene with Hulk that we kind of alluded to, it's a great fight scene as well. It's really well done. One thing from the trailer that I would have the I know him from work line is great, but again, I had seen it 50 times by the time the actual movie came out.
Yeah. And the scene where he does the thing from the Avengers to Thor, and then Loki starts utterly celebrating.
Yeah.
I like this. Like, this film actually has a ton of tiny little references to the universe that like are really nice little Easter. Like the thing where he's going through the vault and they find the Infinity Gauntlet, which people are like, oh, it's a big plot hole in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that in Asgard the Infinity Gauntlet's just sitting there, and she's like, nah, it's fake.
Yeah. I was thinking watching this, given the nature of the planet it's set on, I didn't really comb the film for references, but I was like, I'm sure there's 10 million things in this that are really, really kind of minute references and nods here and there, but I didn't catch any. I'm also rubbish with comic book trivia. I mean, most of that stuff just goes over my head.
Yeah. Oh god, Idris Elba's in this film too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in all of them. Yeah. Yeah. I like Idris Elba a lot, but I feel like I've never, in terms of feature films, I've never quite felt like, oh, Idris Elba, he's really bringing it.
Yeah. I saw what's the Aaron Sorkin film, Molly's Game. He's in that. I like him in that.
I heard that's good. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I think he's in a different film here, basically, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the Asgard stuff just isn't really, it's not super notable.
Though we do continue the Asgard soldier legacy of all utterly being useless and dying immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think is the third film in a row.
Yeah, I don't know what use it is, really. Hela just, doesn't, like, Hela, like, wipe them all out, like, on her own, basically, or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, there's the pals of Thor from the first film, and, like, they played a smaller role in the second one. They're just killed in this film.
Yeah, it's like, again, like, the second film just not relevant at all.
Just like, yep. And Jane Foster does not get her tiny cameo in here, just like what's her name did in Spider-Man Homecoming. So she's still not alive. She's long gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like this film. I really I like. This is the only Marvel film I've seen twice in the cinema. Like,
you saw it twice in the cinema?
Yeah, I was like, I really like this film. I'm going to go see it again.
Yeah, it's very easy to watch as well. I did notice that on a rewatch. It's just super digestible.
And it is 2 hours 10 minutes long, but I think it's one of the rare Marvel films that feels worth its runtime.
Yeah, and it's, again, I think leading more into the comedy makes it feel a little bit breezier. There's no kind of stony-faced wondering about the state of the universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which we might get a lot of that in Infinity War. I feel. Yeah. So this just breezes by.
Yeah, I like this film. I like this film a lot, Barry.
I do as well.
We have Black Panther coming out in a little over a week from when we record this. It'll probably be slightly after. As I do some scheduling in my head. Homecoming's going up today. Next week is Wonder Woman. Maybe the week after that. We'll see after that. But yeah. By the time you hear this, Black Panther will be out and will have been caught up. So
do enjoy it. And we'll of course be back with that at some stage. I'm looking forward to that. I thought the trailer they put out was pretty dang great. Really great cast going and everything like that.
I did like all the reviews from the premiere say it's amazing. It's like literally they stacked those theaters full of like fanboys. Like before all of the DC films, it's like, oh, DC is back. This is the big DC film. It's like, yeah, because you stacked the cinema with people who are going to adore this film, and then they'll talk about it on Twitter with their social media influencers.
Yeah, and it's like one of the reviews, I think it was like USA Today, was like calling it like iconic and stuff like that, and then it said it's a top 5 Marvel film. I was like, well, I'd hope it's kind of like above that if it's an iconic film. Like, it's like people, as much as we've enjoyed this walk through the MCU, the way people talk about these movies is so weird. It's like when a good one comes out, it's like people have meltdowns and think it's like the best thing since sliced bread. I'm sure there's going to be an Oscar campaign for this. Probably. I mean, it's just craziness. It really is. But I don't doubt. I mean, it looks great. I don't doubt it's going to be great. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there with your with the people they stick into these movies, movie screenings rather.
Because yeah, there's like 3 of these films that are honest to goodness fantastic films, and then there's a bunch of them that are just a real good time.
But yeah.
And it's like, it's nothing wrong with being a real good time. You don't have to overhype something to be more than a real good time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So before we go, plugs?
Twitter.com/TheBarryLads, where you can go for updates on everything BarryLad. TheBarryLad.com is the website where I post some bits and bobs. Got a top, what do I have? Top 10 video games of the year on there.
What did you put number 1? Not to spoil the list, but...
Yeah, you can spoil the list, it's fine, I don't mind. It's Yakuza 0.
Ooh, interesting
Best game in 2017.
Where did Zelda rank on your list? Oh, you didn't finish Zelda, though, did you?
I didn't finish it, but I put it on the list. It was excellent enough that it warranted on the list. I do try and finish things before I put on the list, but I had to, like, third week in January, I was like, all right, I gotta fucking write this list, because if I don't write it now, it's just not going to get written. And I can sit here and obsess over finishing these games, or I can just write it. So I made 2 exceptions. Assassin's Creed Origins, I was like, all right, this game has come out of nowhere. It surprised me. I never liked Assassin's Creed. This game is fantastic. It is my 10th favorite game of the year. It's going on the list. And Zelda as well. I was like, all right, I can't not put Zelda on here. The way it won me around. So, and plus, Zelda, I don't know if I've talked to you about this on air on this podcast, but it's a game that I'm happily not in any rush to finish. I haven't played it in like a few weeks, but every few weeks I get the itch to play it, and I put like 10 hours into it. So I will happily be tipping away at Zelda probably for the most of 2018. Yeah, so that's in at number 9. So that's on there. So yeah, you can go to thebarryled.com and read about why I picked those games and what other games are on there. Yeah, and twitter.com/thebarryled for updates on all of those stuffs, including when I'm podcasting with Garrett next.
Woo! Welcome to our 2 podcast a week. The final film before the Avengers Infinity War. Yes, it's a war about people who like each other. Infinity War comes out at the end of April. Is Black Panther. Barry, Black Panther.
Yeah, I'm all hyped up for Affinity War. I think the world could use something like Affinity War.
That's the big follow-up to Civil War, where instead of fighting, they just hug and the film is like 2 minutes long.
I mean, that's much needed. It was pretty grim. It was pretty miserable there at the end, but... bring it back together, bring it in for a hug, I'm all about that. But yeah, before we get to the Infinity War, we got the Black Panther to do.
We do. I don't know about Black Panther, Barry, because everyone loves it, and I think it's a good film, but I don't think it's a particularly great film.
I was gearing up to be with you for the first half, and then I thought they really kind of stuck the second half with the increased presence of Michael B. Jordan and whatnot. I can totally see how you or someone else could watch this and think it is just a good movie. I do think it was pretty tremendous, but I do see its shortcomings. Like a lot of Marvel movies, even the truly excellent ones, you kind of have to. It's really how much. I don't think it's so much that they're all perfect, even the really, really acclaimed ones, so much as how do those sort of tropey negatives affect you. So what were your bugbears with this one that made you hesitate on calling it a true great?
I will preface it first. I think it is a fundamentally important film. I think
yes, of course,
on every level. I think in the it's the second most important film in the MCU, probably behind the original Iron Man. It's probably the third most important superhero film of all time. Because I would say,
Batman.
Maybe Batman. I was thinking X-Men, but maybe Batman's more important than X-Men. Because I feel.
That's actually tough. That's a whole other series almost. Batman or X-Men? I don't know. I feel like Batman is the real core of the modern boom, I would say. And then after that, it's like a toss-up between X-Men and Spider-Man. Although realistically, you probably have to go X-Men because it was 3 years early. Um, but yeah, but Black Panther certainly up there for a number of reasons. I mean, it really was a historic film, and that was not just that wasn't just a talking point before the film. It was the historic significance of this film in terms of reaching out to people who might not necessarily care to watch a superhero movie. That was very much reflected at the box office. I don't think Black Panther was the absolute mammoth success it was just because it was great. You know what I mean? I mean, because there's lots of great superhero movies, you know what I mean? And it's certainly not because he's a first-string superhero character. I definitely don't think that's the case. I think it was very much the historical significance of it as a sort of not just such a predominantly black cast, but also the director and what have you. Very, very, very significant film.
So yeah, I will start by, well, actually, I was going to say, I think Batman is like the father of the genre, and then X-Men kind of shares the most DNA in terms of like structure.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, anyway, the things I think this film has a relatively weak script.
Mm-hmm.
I think like there's not a ton of humor there, but I think that the humor that is there doesn't really land at all. And I don't think the Chadwick Boseman character is all that interesting. I don't think T'Challa is a good lead. He's just boring. He doesn't do anything in this film.
I would kind of agree. I was interested in him, but I definitely thought there was more potential there that was not tapped into him as the kind of young, struggling to lead king. It was, your drive and your will for him to succeed pretty much only kicks in when you see Killmonger and how much you are, for or against his cause. But then they could have had maybe a bit more in the first half of the film, maybe more evidence of him maybe struggling with being king, if you know what I mean, like outside of the outside threat of Killmonger, just him in general. Grappling with the difficulties of being the leader of this extremely weird and cool hidden world of Wakanda. But I kind of agree. I like Boseman's performance, but I don't know that it's a super compelling protagonist.
Because it's just, I think you're right, because this is relatively off the back of Civil War, where his father is killed, so he's just thrown into leading this nation all of a sudden. And yeah, you don't really get the sense of that burden on him, do you?
No, it's like it's Killmonger comes in and there's only dissension because of the external politics of Wakanda, or the lack thereof, right? He wants to, take this technology and use it all over the world. But up until that point, there's like zero dissension in the ranks when it comes to T'Challa. With the exception of that one tribe, but they even say in the opening exposition that tribe has always kind of been the outsider, dissenting tribe. So it's not even like it's just him. They really could have, maybe before we even see Killmonger in Wakanda, just that people are dissatisfied with T'Challa. I don't know, because he's young, or because they think he's not worthy, or he won obviously that battle right, but maybe they just didn't like how he did it. Something like that could have made it feel like he was fighting a bit more from the bottom. But again, yeah, I think there was just so many other things in the film that worked for me that I was able to kind of just roll with that. I think it's good performance. I think he's a kind of a charismatic guy who is inherently likable, which helped a lot.
It probably doesn't help that he is dramatically overshadowed by Michael B. Jordan. This is the Michael B. Jordan show. He is fantastic in this film.
Yeah, he really is. He really is tremendous. Super charismatic. His kind of Oakland way of talking contrasted with the way everyone in Wakanda acts and speaks and behaves is it really makes him pop off the screen, as along with his own just general presence. He's really tremendous, and he's got to be one of the sort of I feel like calling him like quote unquote like promising and young is kind of overstating it. Like he's been around for a few years, but he still feels like he's very much on the ascent, and he will be, one of the most compelling actors in Hollywood for a long time to come. And this is his piece de resistance. Actually, I haven't seen Creed. I shouldn't say that. I know people love Creed, so I should say this is his big coming out party. But it did feel like when this movie came out, there was like a whole new generation of people almost exposed to him, because obviously it was infinitely more successful than Creed. But yeah, he's phenomenal.
Because Creed, I like Creed because it is the most formulaic sports film of all time. And I don't mean that as a bad thing. It's just like it hits all of those sports films beats like perfectly, and he's really good in it. And then he just walks into this, and he really just steals this film. This is his film. The second he like walks onto the frickin'... When does he first show up in this film? It's when...
Well, he's in it in small dribs and drabs fairly early. Your classic, Marvel format of here's the hero doing this thing, and then 20 minutes later, oh, here's your little tease of what the villain's up to. But the film, I don't think, really gets going until he arrives in Wakanda, which is a solid hour, if not more, into the film, I think. And I think speaking about him and what works about him, I think that's what I kind of mentioned earlier about, whether or not you think the movie is good or excellent is how much you kind of weight certain things. And a big negative for me with a lot of Marvel films and superhero films in general is the weakness of the villain. And so obviously they have this powerhouse performance with Michael B. Jordan, but also character-wise with Killmonger, they've given you something to actually sink your teeth into in terms of motivations, in terms of a tragic backstory. I watched this with two buddies of mine, and when we came out of the theater, I see a lot of superhero films with them. They're like my superhero pals. I go see all the superhero crap with, good, bad, and in the middle. And I had never seen them so compelled by a villain or so intrigued by a villain as they were with him. And that obviously sparked lots of debate after the film first hit. People thinking he was... people disliking the film because he was the villain. People liking the film because he was a complex villain that was tragic in some ways. There were so many aspects of what he was that were compelling. And I think that's kind of what tipped it over the edge to me as, okay, no, this is an upper echelon Marvel film because they have all those other great aspects that the MCU has, but they have him there, really hitting a home run in the area where a lot of swinging and missing for the MCU in that department.
He's motivated by something as opposed to mustache twirling in the... Fair enough, he does veer a little into mustache twirling. I want to blow everybody up a little. But at least the motivations behind that are relatively sound. And he actually has a stance, though it does descend into I want to steal the powers of the superhero, which... but still...
Yeah, absolutely, of course, yeah. And I remember being so disheartened when I watched that trailer and it was like him wearing a Black Panther suit, and I was like, oh my god.
Here we go again.
Oh no. There's no way they make this good, but that was really such a minute aspect of the film. But yeah, and in the end, I mean, I thought the ending fight sequence was a bit tiresome because it just turns into, here's a superhero film with the two sides of the war going to battle and all these explosions and CGI rhinos and stuff. And I kind of tuned out for that, and then I kind of tuned back in for the actual climactic battle. I really liked that fight between Killmonger and T'Challa because when a push came to a shove, it was like they could have saved him, but Killmonger, while he was redeeming himself in death, he was also like, just so you know, I'll always be this way. This is always, you and I will never be on the same page philosophically.
We both want the same goals, but we have very different ideas on how to really get there in the end, don't we?
Yeah.
That kind of final battle with even the way, what's his name, his brother-in-law turned on him. It's just, that didn't feel, it's like, okay, I'm just going with the bad guy now.
Yeah, but that wasn't even a character that I think was even especially fleshed out beforehand. It was just kind of, he was very just...
Yeah, which was probably the problem, right? It's just, why it's like, oh, okay, you're just going to fight, okay. I thought they were doing a whole like set up and turn thing, but now he's just going to fight to the death. It's fine.
Yeah. And I think all of the secondary characters could have been fleshed out a little bit better. There was, a lot of them had a certain cool factor to them, and I think there's room for them to be expanded on in future films. But in this one, yeah, they were kind of just there. You had the sister character who was kind of funny, but I could have done without the "What Are Those" reference in 2018. I don't even know what year that was. That was at least 2 years ago, if not more.
Well, fair enough, it was probably when the script is written, so somebody should
possibly. But
at some stage somebody should have went.
There it is the folly of writing jokes like that.
Yes, at some stage somebody should have went like, think we should take that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's like I'm sure folks behind Kick-Ass wish they could go back and do a remaster where he's posting on Facebook rather than MySpace.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that makes films fun to go back to in a way, doesn't it?
It kind of does, yeah. It's especially from this era, because everything moves and changes so fast these days that stuff like that is such a specific snippet of time. Although, as an aside, I remember watching Kick-Ass in the theater thinking, what? MySpace? What the hell? Was this film delayed several years? It came out in 2009 or something when the ship had long sailed on MySpace.
There was just Tom left behind by himself.
Oh, poor Tom. Actually, not poor Tom. He's rich.
Was Tom a real person? I was doubtful.
Oh yeah. Even though he seemed like a sort of robot with a stock photo, I think that's still his picture on Twitter. I think he has a Twitter profile now. But he's exceedingly rich because he did sell off MySpace at its apex.
Some sucker bought it, like freaking Time Warner and AOL.
Yeah, talk about business deal of the century.
This is why you never buy any tech company.
No, I mean, yeah, I feel like I would just, yeah. I remember when Bitcoin was first blowing up, and I was like, maybe I should get into this, and it's like, no, just don't buy. Just buy physical things you can actually hold. Websites and fake money, that's not worth it.
Yeah, buy Blu-rays. Those will never go out of style.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're talking about secondary characters. Yeah, I think they were all kind of amusing, but yeah, not mega compelling necessarily. Especially the love interest character. I feel like they did basically nothing with that.
Yeah, pretty much. My favorite part of this film is what I've liked about all the recent Marvel films is that they've kind of dived into genres. And there's like a spy thriller sequence in like the first act. It's about half an hour in where they're staking out that club place, and it kind of becomes a James Bond film for like 20 minutes. I was into that.
Yes. Yeah, it was cool. It was well done. Kind of casino stakeout scene. Absolutely.
Did you cringe at Martin Freeman's accent? Have you gotten over it yet?
No, I'm still cringing at it. I have not gotten over. It was pretty weak. I know that his character was something of a sore spot for people, because it's like the white CIA agents going into this hidden nation of pure untouched African nation and participating in their wars. It's like, I get it. That's pretty rough. It's not perfect, but yeah. He was in the film more than I was expecting. This is like his foremost MCU presence. Again, still not massively in it, but in it more than I was expecting.
This feels for him like Thor felt for Coulson, where he's like, yeah, he's kind of in the other ones, but now he's in a film. Yeah,
now he's in it. Yeah, it's cool. I like Martin Freeman a lot. Accent aside, yeah, that was pretty cool.
Actually, did you see they're bringing Coulson back?
No? Oh, yes, no, I did actually. Yes, yeah. Is that in Infinity War, or what's the deal with that?
It's in Captain Marvel, which I think is set in the 90s, which is the reason they can be bringing back without...
Oh, right. That makes sense.
So I say it's the reason they can bring him back without bringing him back to life, but they already did that in the TV show.
Yeah. I forgot Captain... Yeah, there was some, jumping ahead to Infinity War a bit, there was some hubbub that Captain Marvel will be in that. Because I think there was like a freeze frame from a trailer doing the rounds. I think it was the Super Bowl ad where it's like literally a freeze frame in a few pixels. Someone was like, "Is this Captain Marvel standing behind Captain America?" And I think they actually confirmed that yes, it was, and that she there were things filmed that were then subsequently taken out, and that she is not in the movie. But who knows? That could be a double fake out or something. Russo brothers is very chatty about what is and isn't in this film already, to the point that I think it's all just lies.
Yeah, like though I saw
saying, "Oh yeah, people are dying, folks. Don't you worry. We're killing people left, right, and center in this movie. We got you."
I saw a Twitter moment. I didn't bother clicking on it, but it's like, you won't believe the people who have a big role in this film, and one of them was Thanos, and I was like, he's been front and center of every trailer in this film, and you are surprised that he has a big role in it.
Yeah, that's a that's a weird one, but I feel like God, it's like Infinity War, like content overload now. Now that Black Panther really was it was the biggest thing in the zeitgeist there for a while, but now I feel like we're all systems go on Infinity War, and it's just every day there's a new interview, and people can't stop talking about it. Every trailer, the society shuts down every time there's a new trailer for Infinity War. God, it really feels like it is going to be the film event of, I don't know, the decade, maybe even longer.
How are you feeling about it?
I think you and I have spoken about this before, and after watching that second trailer, I'm pretty steadfast in this. I think I really get the vibe that it's just going to be another mainline Avengers movie, which is that it will probably be really well made with some fun dialogue and some fun action, and maybe, I almost certainly going to have more real drama in it than the previous two, just because it really does seem like they're going to start ramping up the tension and the consequences in this.
Swinging the axe. They're swinging the axe, Barry.
Yeah, well, they have to. They can't have all 26 of those people on screen for the whole film. But other than that, I mean, from looking at the trailers, it really just feels like a very formulaic superhero film. But again, that's unfairly judging based on promotional materials. There's so many threads coming to a head in this film that I'm sure it'll be more compelling than perhaps the trailers or whatnot make it look. But right now, I'm excited, but reservedly so. I'm not going in expecting the best movie ever, but I'm expecting a hell of a spectacle and for a whole lot of excitement from people around it, which is kind of fun. I mean, I like comics a lot, but I've never been a massive comic nerd, and it's kind of fun seeing people. This is the culmination of their life, basically. Yeah, I'm anticipating it greatly. I have secured the morning after it comes out off work, because I'll go to a midnight launch for it. But I'm modest. I'm keeping my expectations for the actual quality of the film in check. I expect it to be good, but not anything excellent.
I think of it a lot like I'm currently thinking about Ready Player One.
Oh.
Because if you watch the Ready Player One trailers, you'll look at them and go, oh. And you'll just be like, oh, look, it references the movie. But then you realise it's being directed by Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Who I have some amount of faith in making more than references the movie. So now to talk about Infinity War, you look at those trailers and there's a lot of faceless armies running towards superheroes waiting to be smashed, and you're like, haven't we seen that twice, at least? But then you look at the Russo brothers, who have made two of the best movies in this entire series, and you're like, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. No matter what this marketing material looks like, those two have made two very good movies, and I have faith in them, even though, in fairness, the number of moving parts to make this damn movie where you have 700 characters all feeding in from 16 different films, and you're just we have to juggle all of this and make it a coherent plot that serves all of these characters in some interesting way at least, and, sets up another film it's next summer, isn't it?
It's yes, I think so, yeah.
And sets up another film in a year. That's a very difficult task to juggle, but I think if anybody can do it, it's those two.
Yeah, and it is. And the thing about the previous Avengers films is they were impressively composed with, at the time, what was a really novel idea of the ensemble thing, and now they've just amped it up. And as you say, you've got these. Their resume should speak for itself at this stage, and they kind of, not only with Winter Soldier, which is phenomenal, but also Civil War, which is excellent as well, and is also a movie that has to deal with, a large cast of characters who all have to be given ample screen time and characterization. So yeah, I mean, I think if anyone could make this setup of alien comes to collect six MacGuffins to help him take over the entire multiverse, if anyone can weave that into a compelling yarn and have some awesome action along the way, I think it's those guys. Yeah, and it's gonna be. It's crazy because we're living in this informed age where we're all online and we all know that Marvel, the studio entity under Disney, owns Iron Man and owns Captain America and owns the Guardians of the Galaxy. But I would almost love if this era of films was 15 years previous when I was less tuned into all that stuff. And the idea of, and I'm sure this is what it's like for kids today who don't care about who owns the IP. I'm sure their little minds are blown by the idea that the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be in the same film, because they had there's been some characters in the MCU that have intermingled a lot, some that have intermingled a little bit, and then there's those two entities that they have kept completely separate. And Guardians is also like one of the most successful new franchises of the last however many years. So it's going to be it's important to not lose sight of what an impressive kind of moment that's going to be.
And in fairness, what an impressive feat it is to get here, because you look at DC and how hard they're trying to get to the same place, not going so well for them.
No, yeah. What's even next for them? I don't even know.
I think it's Aquaman, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, is it? Oh, no.
Yeah. It's either that or Shazam, I think.
Neither of these are doing it for me, Garrett. I gotta be honest.
No. You make a good point about, like, as you said, we know Disney owns all these characters. We know, like, the X-Men aren't going to show up because Fox own them, and they might show up because Disney might be buying Fox, but also they might not be now, but we'll see how that turns out. And Spider-Man's not going to show up until Sony and Disney can get along. Like, we know that. But yeah, as kids who don't understand that Disney owns all of these people and just go to see Guardians of the Galaxy and just go see Iron Man, and then if they're together, what?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like important to remember that like Guardians 1 was just an unbelievable success. I mean, it really was, and it was the hottest thing when it came out. And you have to imagine, it was the lunchbox movie for a lot of kids that summer, I'd imagine. And now the idea that they're crossing over is really cool. You mentioned there as well, Fox and all this other stuff. I mean, and it's fun to speculate. Lots of speculation about will there be a stinger in this one? I doubt it'll be a significant part of the film, but will there be like a post-credits thing that alludes to any of these previously, segregated Fox characters being present in any kind of post-credits stinger for Infinity War?
And if you're being very skeptical, it was announced yesterday that all of the Fox or X-Men films have been pushed forward a little. So I think pushed back. Well, they're releasing later than they were planned to. Like the New Mutants film they have coming out and the Phoenix film they have coming out, they've pushed them further into 2019. And you think maybe that's something to do with them showing up in the Avengers? Yeah,
possibly. There's been all manner of speculation, and it's tough to get a read on. I don't know. I mean, part of me wonders, like, did they have their plans for Infinity War, every aspect of it set in stone so many years ago that they can't really pivot now to include those characters, or are they gonna take the chance and do it? I don't know. I'm curious. I wonder if you could even do something small, like in a post-credit scene, have a character with like telepathy, like perhaps not even make it explicit, but like allude to the fact that they've connected with Xavier or something like that. It really does have to be that basic. It doesn't need to be anything remotely explicit to send people into a frenzy. We've seen that in the past with post-credit scenes. It's interesting. It really is.
Yeah, maybe that's why Captain Marvel got cut. They were like, Now we have to squeeze the X-Men in here. Sorry, Captain Marvel, you're bumped to Infinity War 2.
Yeah, we got too much going on right now.
Or what? Actually, that film still doesn't even have a title yet, does it?
What's that?
The second half of this.
I assumed it was just going to be part 2.
No, they said recently that they didn't want to call it part 2 because they wanted people to see them as 2 separate films.
Oh, really?
So I think it's just tentatively whatever the Avengers 4 is, whatever.
I mean, I think that's perfectly reasonable. That's all good, but I mean,
it's still part 1 and 2.
I don't know. My feeling is still that. Yeah, I mean, I think this movie ends with Thanos like. You know, I think there will be a decent body count in that movie, and I think the final act will be like a significant character being killed, and Thanos kind of having the vast majority of the stones and heading towards like I think the film probably ends with like one left, and it's an Empire Strikes Back type ending where everything is extremely grim, which I realize they just had in Civil War, but you know, a pretty grim sort of chapter in the story, and then I very much feel like the following film will then be Infinity War 2. But I appreciate that they're making them 2 separate parts, or two separate parts, 2 separate things.
Who's dying, Cap or Iron Man?
It's got to be Iron Man. It's the more jaded character that I think we've all had enough of. I mean, I would watch more Captain America stuff. I know Steve Rogers, Jesus Christ.
He's Steve Rogers.
He's Steve Rogers. No more Steve Rogers ever in any form of fiction, no. Chris Evans, I know that story going around is that he's done after Thor, which would be obviously not this coming Avengers film, but the next one. And that's fine, but I still think there's no reason, really. I don't think there's any more juice to be gotten out of either Robert Downey Jr. or, to be honest, Tony Stark, the character.
You could make an argument that if you're going for the all hope is lost at the moment, Cap is a better kill.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. He is.
So we should see.
But we'll see. So many moving parts going into Infinity War. One thing I'll say is that Black Panther did feel very self-contained. Didn't feel like it was really. It didn't feel like the preamble to Wakanda, but to Infinity War. But the Infinity War trailers do. It looks like Wakanda does host a significant battle in the movie. So there's an overlap there.
Which is nice that they created that through line without you watching Black Panther, and they're like, it's the Infinity Stones or something like that.
Absolutely, yeah. I would not have been up for that.
I don't think we should finish up talking about Black Panther instead of 20 minutes about the Avengers. Yeah,
well, you know, I mean, that's I think that's indicative of this moment in time. I mean, that's the main talking point about Black Panther is how great it is and how significant it is. And it's a distant second, but still the second most prominent talking point about the film is, hey, this is the last one before the big event, you know. And it's obviously the last time we'll be touching base with the listeners before Infinity War is out in the world.
Yeah, it's almost as if we planned it perfectly at the time with Infinity War.
Maybe we did.
I don't think we can leave Black Panther without talking about like the style of the film, because it's a celebration of African culture on like a level I don't think that's been seen in film.
It was certainly not in like a mainstream
or Western film anyway. Yeah,
no, certainly not. It's unapologetic, and it's you know, they have like their official score, but they also have their original soundtrack album, which is really great. You know, featuring Kendrick Lamar and maybe of other artists. It's really cool, yeah, and it's not kind of compromising or putting like a Western face on it. It's kind of just letting it be, which is really cool.
So, small Avengers tie-in. Ludwig Göransson did the music, like the underlying score, who also did the music for Community, which was worked on by the Russo brothers. It all ties together. It's all one universe.
Aha! Yes, there you go. It's all coming together.
So do we have any prevailing thoughts about Black Panther or the general Marvel Cinematic Universe leading up to this point?
No, it was a great film, and it's I mean, talk about momentum. I mean, the Black Panther being the success it was and as good as it was means they couldn't be on a better footing going into Infinity War. They really couldn't.
It made $1.2 billion as of right now, which I think is the most of any solo film. I think the two Avengers films have it beaten, and maybe Captain America: Civil War. I'm not sure. Truly, no way of knowing.
Yeah, and now we have Infinity War, which I mean that I think is going to be trying to. I think that's going to be competing with your top tier Star Wars Force Awakens. I don't think it'll dethrone Avatar worldwide, but that, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be in that mix of the top grossing.
Because the second Avengers didn't feel like an event as much, did it?
No, and it's weird because it's like I thought those trailers were really cool, kind of like the trailers are really cool for this one. But yeah, I don't know. It just didn't feel. Yeah, I don't really know what it is. Yeah, it kind of came and went. Middle of the road. I think people knew that Ultron was not going to be the cultural event. I think forget Infinity War. I think Civil War was the thing people were gearing up for as the real big deal. But yeah, this one's going to be a big one.
Indeed. Before we go, do you want to plug anything, Barry?
And usual plugs, twitter.com/thebarrylad, where you can find me chatting about a various number of things, youtube.com/BarryMurphyLad, is where I'm streaming things, including A Way Out at the moment, little co-op stream I got going on there. It's pretty fun. Several hours of that already recorded, so I'm going to be going up on the channel on a fairly regular basis, trying to get into more of a routine with that. So yeah, those are the places to go for me.
Is A Way Out any good?
It's solid, yeah. It kind of feels like a not super compelling collection of mini games, but again, the local co-op aspect of it makes it more fun. A lot of the stuff you're doing is fairly basic, but actually communicating with the person next to you to advance is pretty fun. It's €30, and what I did was I'm playing it with my roommate, and we split the cost of it. And I would recommend people doing that because it's like it is a really fun €15 game. It's something I would maybe go into with tempered expectations, but it's fun. It's a fun, different thing.
You can play online as well, can't you, with a randomer?
Yes, it has matchmaking, I think. But I would not play this with. Not because it's hard, but because a lot of the enjoyment would be gone. I would not play this with a randomer. If you can't play locally with a friend, I would recommend doing online, and it has a great feature where if you want to play with a buddy, your buddy can download the demo, and you can send them an invite, which will then allow them to basically play through the whole game so long as they're playing with you. Over PSN. It's really cool. So I would strongly encourage if you to do that if you don't have a local friend playing through it.
That is nifty. 3D, or was it 3DS or DS used to have that? It was a download play, but they never used to do it with games you'd actually want to do it with.
Right, yeah.
So it's like you can do it with Nintendogs, but not Mario Kart. Hey guys.
Yeah.